Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez, joining you from in front of the black movie screen. It's all, the bed's not made. I just closed it. I just sealed it
Black movie screen is a whole lot better than the black casting couch. Am I right?
up.
Or the
Depends-
BBC.
Depends on what your thing is. Joining me tonight, he knocks when he sits because he's got a brass plug for weight too. It's Robert Wyatt.
I stick it wherever I can get it.
Got to get that weight.
Mm-hmm. All the junk in the trunk.
Robert's out there duck walking around.
He's sitting down at the doctor's office. You just hear the knock everywhere. Got to get up. Anyways, he speaks eight languages, and none of them are bitchinese. Be gone, ho! It's Jared Stepp.
Thought be gone spray. It's an important thing to have.
Always
Thought,
is.
Thought be gone. Thought be gone, and a lawyer. Anyways, here's what I got this week. Well, it finally came in, and if you're on the YouTubes, search PARAcast Firearms Podcast, you can see our pretty faces. Is this blinged out thing that looks so photoshopped when a camera looks at it? It's so weird. Is
You look like Blake Lively at the Super Bowl.
The
covered in gold.
Covered in gold. This is the on my VP9. This is the Taylor Freelance. I think they call it like the Death Grip brass backstrap, and the magazine extension made out of brass, and it completely changes the feeling of the gun. And it has its MPS on it, and then it's TLR1 HL, and comes in at a empty weight of 39 ounces. And it's wow, yeah, it's pretty well. I mean, this stuff kind of balances. The TLR1 is still kind of front heavy, but when you remove,
you got the tungsten.
The tungsten batteries.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Isa has some really nice tungsten batteries. You could throw in that bad boy.
So the problem is like the light already kind of makes it a little bit more nose heavy than what I have on the back. But when you take the light off, it balances like so well. Like it is.
Damn,
it feels absolutely.
She's thick.
Yeah, wonderful. Like it's the VP9. Like the one thing about HK pistols is like they always come on the heavier side in comparison to something like a Glock 17. Just because the slides are freaking always super thick. The polymer is a thicker polymer. The locking lugs and everything else that they throw in there are like gigantic. I mean, everything is really overbuilt on the HKs. And so, I mean, it comes in pretty heavy, 3 ounces heavier than a Glock or something like that to begin with. But one of the nice designs is that having that grip panel, that whole thing come off, and then you just slide that bad boy and get like 3.5 ounces on
That's
a
nice.
brass grips panel, and then 3 ounces in the magazine. So I got a couple of these bad boys, and
awesome.
the gun sits in the high 40 ounces, almost gonna hit 50 with 22 rounds in the gun. So
I was gonna say, with it loaded, it's gonna be even more fat.
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say mine one, yeah, actually loaded up, gets in the high 60s.
Yeah, I mean you add a pound of ammo
in the gun.
It's a
chunky boy.
But yeah,
my little baby arms aren't used to holding up that much weight out there. I can only hold up light guns. I can't do that. I'm scared. Help me, Daddy.
Yeah,
help me, baby Jesus.
It's with a punch pin and a change of a magazine, you can get it back down into the high 20s. So it's pretty nice. It's just little add-ons and stuff like that, but it feels really good. The quality of the cutting on the brass is awesome.
Bet.
I don't like the aesthetic of it because it is blinged out. I mean, it looks like you're trying to.
You got your grill in.
Yeah, it looks like you're trying to kill a rival rapper. But other than that, I mean, it's fantastic. I went out there.
Well, if you're trying to kill a rival rapper, it needs to be more like this.
Like this.
And you need to have an AK.
Yeah.
47 Drago.
I did go out there and zero it and group it, this in the P30, and I would say my ability to shoot a double action pistol, since I shot, a Glock for past couple years, and then this PDP, and then shooting this VP9, I go out there and I shoot that double action LEM P30, and I bring the target in after bench resting it and zeroing it and putting 5 shots within the size of a quarter at 15 yards. I bring it back in, and all my shots are like 8 inches to the left and at the same like horizontal vertical impact. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just like, oh, hey, dummy, you have to like keep your grip strong the whole way through. And believe it or not, now you have to like finish the trigger press correctly. And then I go back there and I shoot a B8 and I keep them all in the black at 20. And I'm just like, okay. And then I took the VP9 and these triggers that break forward, do not break way against the frame, that just break really far forward. They are so much easier to freaking shoot sometimes, where you can have a bad grip, just throw it out there, and then you're just playing at the end of the kind of almost at a straight 90 degrees when you're shooting it. That P30 breaks so far back to the damn frame, it's like a Beretta 92. And so it was just like, these are different guns. You got to learn how to shoot them a little bit, and you got to
Too
kind of
much trigger finger, Tom. You
much.
got to do
Well,
too little trigger finger.
too
You got to
little.
take the trigger finger out.
Too little. And the other thing I started doing some of those Ben Steger like double drills. Like I had 50 rounds. It's like, all right, these things are zeroed. Gonna do some of those double drills. And I did notice in the pursuit of trying to get faster and faster splits, holding with my weak hand, I'm just starting to squeeze more, and I'm getting like little like 1.5-inch dives down on the groups when I'm sitting there shooting. And so like I'm really trying to get my grip back into like shooting shape, so I can, shoot as fast as I can without putting input into the gun. And it's been kind of a pain in the ass.
How far away were you?
I was about 10 yards away.
So 1.5 inches down at 10 yards, if you're doing fast splits, is fine.
I know it's fine.
That's okay.
I just know, like, listen, I know how I was shooting back in 2018 and 2019 in production, and I pulled up some videos that were on my phone. I was watching them on my PC the other night, reminiscing about the life I used to have. And anyway, I'm watching this super shoot.
Like the corner of my mind.
I can't watch Pornhub anymore because when you're to us, so we're gonna watch shooting videos.
Yeah. The free VPN subscription ran out. Anyways, you're sitting there.
This show is sponsored by NordVPN.
So I'm sitting there watching me shoot this my Glock 17, and it's on one of those big pieces of like black steel, like a C-zone steel or whatever. And I draw it out, I bring up my Glock 17, and I just rip 6 shots into like 1.5 inch group as fast as I possibly can, and then move up to the next thing. And I'm just like, I was practicing, my grip was better, I'm going to get that way again. Therefore, I will continually dry fire. And so like I've actually, as soon as I kind of get home on the weekends, or like when I'm done with the package car, I just been throwing on the belt and playing around with this VP9. I will say this about this freaking VP9. The PDP is an excellent gun. It's very well made. That's a great
Here it comes,
great
Jared.
gun.
Here it comes, Jared. Here it comes. He's going to switch a gun. Watch.
Hold on.
Watch.
Hold on. This is not as easy to shoot as the PDP. It is, the balance is a little bit different, but I'll tell you what, these freaking HK guns are so damn well made. It kind of ruins you a little bit. That PDP is great, and I think I'd be much faster.
How many matches did you shoot with the PDP before you kicked to the curb?
It's not kicked to the curb. I still have it. I just asked Kevin Izet if he wanted to borrow it for development while I played around with the VP9. I didn't say science. I'm trying to help the team.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
This is fantastic. Okay, so so all you guys who had the over under on 2 months, get in contact with me. We'll discuss how much you won, and thanks for playing. Next, I guess the next one's going to be for the HK.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see, but I think I'll be forced to be shooting this one gun for a while. Robert.
I did a bunch of stuff this week. One of the things, I actually went on to Josh Alwig's podcast. He has a podcast with Tim Herron. I think it's like the tiny left-handed shooter brigade or something like that. No, God, what's it called? Oh, Lowport.
Midgets for Christ.
Midgets for Christ. No, it was the Lowport podcast. Tim was out of town traveling and doing all of his shooting training classes. So I went on there and we talked a lot about how to build up a new shooter match for various clubs. It's kind of given me the impression I really need to like actually write some of this stuff down so that Just there's more information out there for people who want to start this, because I actually think that it's a pretty good thing.
Appendice
But
1, how to set up Wi-Fi for your range. Appendice 2, how to quit people from fucking up the entire scores on practice score. Appendice
looking at
3,
you, Gary.
Appendice 3, how to keep members from destroying range shit and blaming it on other members. Appendice 4, Robert's rule of safety. And then,
Appendice
and then,
5,
and then
how to
at,
make Killdozer.
and then at the beginning, you can Vladimir Putin the thing and give you the long Lord of the Rings history, the Silmarillion, on the whole experience of building the club. And you're gonna start with like 1600s feudal Japan, and then work your way up to when the club started. That's probably the best way to do
There
it.
you go. There you
I am so down with all of this, and with that much involvement, I probably will never do it, because I'll get really excited and then I'll forget about it in about 2 hours.
1600
Yeah.
pages. There's about 12 of them in the middle. That's what you're looking for.
But no, it was
yeah.
it was a fun show. It was a fun show, and then we had the indoor match, and we had what did we have? We had 25 people show up to that, and we ran the new classifier 2302, which on paper that thing looks a lot it looks a lot skinnier than it actually is. We tried to set it up in the rifle
It
bay.
catfished you?
Oh, big time. Yeah. We're like,
That
oh,
son
we
of
can
a
set
bitch.
side by sides up. And as soon we had it like pretty much built in the rifle, and then we look over them, and the other stage 1 was like, there's nothing there. Like, well, they can stand in a box and shoot 3 targets. That's about it.
You thought it was going to be okay, but it turned
Yeah.
out to be a fat person in the fucking coach class plane.
Face
and
shots
nope.
only. Face shots only.
Mhm.
That's the tell. You showed up
it
and
was
it had
rough. So
you showed up and it had a shrimp cocktail in its purse. That's how you know it's bad trouble.
yeah. So we pulled it all down real quick, and we ended up shoving it into the tactical bay. We ended up and then shot it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great classifier. Whoever came up with that, well done, because it can be built at an indoor range. That is really, really cool. If we can see more classifiers that have movement and it aren't just stand and draws that can be built on indoor ranges, I think that's a path that we really need to pursue, because we don't have access to outdoor ranges, but I mean indoor ranges are all across the country, and if we can make that happen, I think there's a lot of market that we could tap.
I really
Make
wish,
USPSA indoor again.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
USPSA should have on their website for the clubs, they should have like an indoor section where people submit indoor stages and they put the PDFs on there, and then they literally go through all the classifiers and just add a ID to the end of some of these classifier names to designate them as suitable for indoors. And so match directors or new match directors are not clicking on every classifier going, what could I do? What could I do? What could I do? I mean,
that
and you know who would
be
actually
really nice.
Jake
really
Jake
nice.
Martin's he'd actually be really good to head this up, because he actually runs and has been running an indoor match for a long time, and I've seen, when I'm kind of just trolling through some of the stage builder things, some of the stages that he submitted, and he does a great job with them, and he's figured out how to build a classifier as like a stage 1, and then he shows, okay, well, move this wall, and now you have stage 2, move this one, you got stage 3, and I'm like, that's really well thought out,
like a little transformer match.
Oh yeah, and honestly,
but we don't know who gets high lady or high dude.
No, yeah,
no
that's
categories. No categories. Don't do categories. It just leads to hurt feelings and troubles and fake penises. Don't do categories.
Okay, we'll get rid of that one. Yeah, we won't do that. But no, it was a lot of fun, and so, and then although they're not practice score still doesn't have them in. Maybe I may not have updated my my program or whatever, but it wasn't showing up as a classifier. So you kind of have to do a back end entry to get it all just the way that you do it inside of the iPad to make it work. But and then Friday I picked up 15,000 CCI primers.
Ooh.
That was nice. And I'll get rid of.
How much did you pay for them?
$950. and I'll get rid of. Yeah, I know.
$950 for 1,500.
15,000.
15,000. It's not bad. Not bad by today's standards. I would shoot you in the head if this was 2017.
I'm doing math.
Survey
The
says.
yeah, so there was 5,000 large rifle, 5,000 small rifle, and then 5,000 small pistol. I'll keep the small pistol, and then I'll sell the small rifle, or I'll either sell or trade the small rifles. But
950 divided by 15, so $63 1,000.
Yeah,
pretty good. Pretty good for nowadays. I would say this, Robert. I would honestly say this is that you could convert those small rifle primers into 223 ammo, and then actually make more profit off of selling those, because people pay crazy money for 223 ammo nowadays.
Yeah, seriously?
Yeah, I mean,
you don't even have to put powder in it. You just need to put primers in a bullet, and they won't even know. Use a burner phone.
Yep.
Disappear.
Yep.
I like the way you think. It's almost like you have professional experience with this.
Jared's been selling dud Israeli and like African ammo for years. He literally like the $50 cell phone that he gets from Walmart when he's going grocery shopping for this week's sale. That just comes off the top of the thing. You just
so
gone,
first
baby.
of all, Tom, it's not 1995 anymore. You can actually just do all of this on apps and create new apps.
That's right.
And create new apps.
That's why I'm not in the business. Now you know for sure he's in the business. He's just on the Google.
You'd be a
Google numbers.
terrible hooker.
I would be a terrible hooker. My hands are
you don't
too
have
strong.
the pace for it.
Anyways, Jared.
I don't know. Deuce Bigelow was able to figure it out.
Throat,
I don't think Tommy could get this to happen.
maybe
Attaboy, Tom. You do have the arms and the hands, though.
And the birthing hips.
And you know what? Maybe I'm just a chest job away from getting this thing to work out for me. Maybe.
Wah, 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 wah.
Everyone keeps telling me live my best life. Maybe my best life's in the complete opposite direction than I thought it was. So maybe we should do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But I don't care. We're not changing it to the tranny cast.
Well, wait till you see how hot I am. Okay, don't deny all the options till I start coming in here, and then you're just like, all right, well, I didn't think he'd be passing, but he's passing now, so now it's the tranny cast.
Just saying, the massage from a man may be better than a massage from a woman, just because he has more muscles. Robert, maybe you like it.
Yeah, no. I like when better left unexplored.
I like when
we're just gonna keep it right there.
Said every closeted gay man ever.
I like when the tobacco juice drips out of their mouth and like touches my back. I'm like, now I know I'm in for a good massage. Anyway, Jared, you got a gun?
Almost. I almost have a gun.
I saw it. It looks beautiful.
I know. I ordered a gun from Tactical Steel Customs out of Kansas, and he just texted me actually yesterday and said that it was all done, and he's test fired it. You go over to his webpage, his Facebook or his Instagrams, you can see it. It's the Commander slide with the high power cuts, no front serrations, old school style.
Yeah.
And it looks great. It looks really, really good, and I'm really excited to get it. He's going to mail it out, I think, Monday, and hopefully I'll grab it on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we can talk about maybe next week. But that was a very pleasant surprise.
I really want to shoot like a commander length gun with like 115s. Well, because it's a much snappier, but it's supposed to like return really, really well.
If you remember, I think you remember that Dan Wesson Valkyrie?
Yes.
It was that single stack 9, and I think you shot that because it shoots beautiful. And that's actually one of the reasons why I made this gun. Is it's a double stack Dan Wesson Valkyrie.
Oh, wow.
With a red dot slide and kind of updated a couple features for it just for me. And so that was the basis for this idea, because I've been kicking around this custom 2011 build in my head for years, because there's certain aesthetics that I like. There are certain things that I like. But I actually was going to make a single stack custom 1911 back in the day, and then Dan Wesson came out with that Valkyrie model, which was 99% of what I wanted. So I just ordered that, and then now we're making it into a double stack variant, and I'm excited for it because one of the good things that he did is it's called a stroked 1911. And yes, we were just talking about jerking it, but this is actually something else. This is when most Commander 1911s, the frame is slightly shorter, just like the old gen Glock 19 frame is slightly shorter than the Glock 17 frame. It's
Okay.
just it's a more compact rail system to work with.
What's the advantage of that?
Just it's just you're making the gun smaller, and so you have to make some parts smaller, and that's what just a lot of companies do. It's actually a disadvantage in general because now you have less movement, which makes it more snappy. It's not as good in general. But a lot of the high-end 1911 guys, when they make a commander frame or a commander length slide of 4.25 as opposed to the 5-inch barrel, they do what's called they stroke it, where they use a full-size 1911 frame on the bottom, and then they widen the rails on the slide just a tidge so it can actually run that entire length. So in theory, it should shoot just as good as the full-size frame, but with less reciprocating mass, without all the fancy hoo-ha slide cuts that like Atlases and stuff have. So in theory, this should shoot like a son of a bitch. And I'm really excited to get it. I'll probably post up a video or two, hopefully this weekend. I have training all week, which is stupid. It's not even a fun training. It's a stupid phone training where I learn how to look into your phone like NASA and find videos of you jerking it. But that's not really a great time. So that's what I have to do next week.
Mental note, kids. Shut the phone off. As soon as you get pulled over, shut the phone off.
Oh no.
And then smash the shit out of it.
If cops are this is the actual pro tip, gentlemen. If you're gonna do something real bad, leave your phone at home.
Oh yeah, that's actually probably true.
Oh, Tom, I can't hear you.
I said don't record it. And geofencing is how people solve crimes. They go like this.
Correct.
So
that's what this class is.
Where them crimes? How many people? Because they just take a geographical area, they put a little fence around it, electronic fence, and they see what cell phones were in that area, and then they go like, what areas were closer to there? These are the people. Who owns those phones? Let's go see them. How is this phone connected to this person? And then they work from there. If you drive a car from 2002 and you don't have a cell phone and you wear gloves, guess what, kids? It's like the 1890s for murder again. Because what happens is the police agencies,
women and hobo boys, back on the menu.
Yep. Back on the menu. It's the same thing. What happens with anything as new skills get developed, old skills diminish, and so then you start running into the issues of where old school detective work kind of in some places goes away because the dependency on electronic surveillance.
That's the craziest thing about so much of that stuff is, you look at it, you're not going to do like a crime or nothing like that, but you look at all the stuff that you see on the forensic files and things like that, and you're like, how in the hell do people get away with anything these days? There's just so much stuff.
Well, and that's actually one reason why people don't get away with anything nowadays, just because there's such a proliferation of electronic surveillance, not even by the government, but by private citizens. Ring doorbell cameras are everywhere, and they're beautiful, especially for us, for these homicides, these shooting cases, any high profile case. We can go and find all the Ring doorbells. We can go find all the surveillance cameras and say, hey, you got any footage over here at this time? And honestly, most people, especially where we're at, are like, oh yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be cool. You want me to help a murder solve? I get to be like my podcast at home. I'm a bored white suburban woman. I'm so happy. And they love that shit. They absolutely love that shit. Like, people will talk to us and be like, how do you get people to cooperate? I'm like, dude, just be charming. They want to be. Yeah. If you knock on a house, if somebody came to your house, well, maybe not Robert's not a good example. If somebody came to your house, Tom, and said, hey,
get off my porch.
Okay, you understand? Not Tommy's either.
No. Tom, wait. You got to listen. those dirtbag neighbors across the street from you that you probably hate, that are always playing crappy music at god awful hours and fighting and all those things at night
Oh,
that
Sue Ann?
you
Oh man,
probably
yeah,
hate
fuck
them,
that
right?
bitch.
Oh gosh,
Can
especially when they're
we
playing country music. Ah,
can we set up a tripod in your front room and point a rifle at them and shoot them if they come outside? Are you cool with that? Guess what Tom's gonna say?
Only if
Well,
I get to pull the trigger.
what I would say to them is like, do you guys want cheese on the burgers? Because I'll cook them right here.
Exactly.
Like if you want to do it, like damn, bro, that thing's nice.
First,
Let me open this back window and lessen the concussion off these things. I'm gonna get these burgers going. You guys let me if it's not a good time. If they're gonna get cold, like if we're holding a position, I got a hot plate. We'll
first
keep them up
rule
there.
first rule of sniper school is go get in a warm house. And while everybody else is freezing their ass off on containment waiting for this guy, go get in a warm house,
I'm
set
in
up
a
your
hide. I'm
tripod.
in a hide. You understand? I'm in a hide. I can't
Exactly.
be outside. I'm in a hide. It's an
It's an
urban
urban
hide.
hide. You wouldn't understand.
I mean, but that's just the funny thing is like I remember like when we were like in the 90s when I was in high school with friends and we were watching the Forensic Files and everything like that, and we were just like, and we tried to think
When
of
you had
every
to
way you
tune
could
to
get
the
it.
channel,
Yeah,
move the radar dish
the
around.
stand up remote. No, but it's like we would. I mean, we're sitting like, how do you actually get away with it? And you watch the Forensic Files and that guy, the like is it Michael Brayton or whatever that dude's name was, who was the crime scene guy, and it's like you can't. You can never like take all these like randomnesses of life of like the dude had to get up in the middle of the night because he had to pee and he watched you
This
drag a dead body. You just
this
can't get
robber
away with
was going to get the surprise of his life. Little did he know there was a man inside with a Mossberg 870 shotgun
Well,
loaded
Right?
with 14 gauge pellets.
Well, as you learn, here's
None of that makes sense.
Tom's tips for murder, just from the experience of watching The Wire. As you know, always use a 12 gauge shotgun with buckshot
Mhm.
because that doesn't leave
Omar be
ballistics.
coming.
It basically holds onto the shell. They're ambiguous. They're cheap. They're everywhere. Don't bring your cell phone. Take an old car. Wear gloves. Have a reasonable spot to get home to and a reasonable alibi. Be as far away from the murder as when the murder is detected. And guess what? If they don't have
And then
DNA
never
or
talk to the cops.
geofencing, no jury's probably going to convict you.
Well,
And
and
never
geofencing just is the start for us. We
yeah.
can't convict solely on circumstantial evidence.
Yep.
That gives us a list of suspects, and then we go off that list. So, like for instance, the other day, a couple weeks ago, we had a wild ass murder where some lady working in I'm not even kidding, a happy ending prostitution massage parlor got stabbed 47 times. And she was dead as shit. Like
It's
it
always
was
the angels.
crazy.
It's always the angels. What was her name? Can we give a moment of silence? Can we hold our heads high? You like
I
down,
can't even
whatever.
pronounce it. It was Chinese.
Just trying to make it in America. Gosh damn these
But
bastards.
this poor lady providing a good service, and some crazy drifter guy came in from out of town and actually just stabbed the shit out of her, where it was literally like, this is an example of how much blood was in the scene. Our forensics said, we're going to let this place dry for a day because
no.
we can't even do anything. Like that's bad. That's bad. And so we ended up catching the guy, but yeah, he turned out to be some crazy drifter guy, and we did a lot of electronic stuff, and they managed to find him. And I don't know the exact details on it because I wasn't involved with catching him or finding him, but typically what we do is one of the first things is you do a geofence in that location. And most of the time judges don't grant those warrants unless they're, for crazy shit like this, where it's like, dude, we don't even have a motive.
You have to get
we
a
don't have anything.
Geofence warrant.
It's a search warrant
to do a
because
geofence.
You're pinging individual civilians' phones.
I'm
pulling information.
I understand what you're talking. Like a geofence is like, it's basically you're figuring out an area.
Correct. And so you go on Google and click bonk, 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 bonk.
And then, Mr. Judge, square. I would like a search warrant for this area.
You say, we need to know what phones were in this location during this time, during this date. The reason why we need this is because a little Chinese lady got murdered, and we don't have Chris Tucker or Jackie Chan to solve a crime. So we need to be able to do this. And this is why we need a geofence as opposed to other
That's
methods.
a rush hour
looking.
reference. If you guys don't know, that's a Rush Hour.
Rush Hour is a great movie, guys.
If you don't know
haven't
Rush
seen
Hour, then get the hell off our show and go watch it.
If you haven't seen Rush Hour, fuck you. So
stay classy, San Diego.
Exactly. And so then you have to explain why traditional search methods aren't being either utilized or being successful, and then you kind of go through and do this, because I've done a bunch of geofence search warrants, but most of the time there's a lot of stuff in there.
That's crazy.
But that's how we get a lot of information, and we get a suspect list from there, and then we can go from. There's a lot of ways and videos, and everybody has cameras nowadays. And so if you're in an urban area, it really is quite difficult to do anything and get away with it, just because we can find video. And then once they find video, then they can find the car. If they find the car, then we can track the car. If we find this, then we can find this. And it's just a question of narrowing the suspects and then finding them. And this is the stuff that's available to us, normal coppers. The feds have even better crazy shit that they literally aren't supposed to talk to us about, but they can just tell us that we found this information through investigative means. And that's what we're supposed to write down. We cannot say what it is. They just say through investigative means. That's all you say. Don't say anything else. And you're like, okay, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I have a question for you then. I mean, if you're going through and you're doing the geofencing thing, and because just easy names, right? So say you're looking for Tom. Yes. But along the way, you find a video or you find something of showing me doing something illegal. What happens? I mean, because your search warrant was for Tom, but you see me doing something. I mean, short of murder with it's really obvious kind of thing. But I mean, legally, can you use that?
So if we're looking for a video of Tom murdering Alex, Coco went.
Mm-hmm.
If we're
no more revolver talk. I told you for the last time, Alex. I told you, you son of a bitch. No more.
Let's see what your 32 ACP does now. If we're looking for a video of Tom killing Alex, and then we find a video of Robert jacking it at the corner, are we going to charge him for indecent exposure? No. If we wanted to, we probably could, and we could do what's called an amendment to that search warrant, and say, hey, through this investigation, we found this.
Yeah.
Judge, so you do that oftentimes on residential search warrants, where you'll say, hey, I am looking for a search warrant.
For drugs.
I would like to get in this guy's house because I think this guy's doing X, Y, Z. And if the judge says, I don't think you have enough evidence for X, Y, Z, then you can say, well, I want to get in for X. And then they say, okay, you have enough for X. And then they let you in. That gives you a search warrant for the house for X. And then once you get in there, if you see any evidence in plain view while looking for the X item, if you find any information that could help you with the Y and Z item, then you do a amend search warrant when you send that in and say, while performing this search warrant, which was protected through this judge's search warrant 294687 or whatever, we found these items that are also illegal. Can we has those? And then the judge will say yes.
And the judge is reviewing the film. Is like, how is he able to jack it and drink a 2-liter and chug a 2-liter of Mountain Dew at the same time? And you go like,
that's actually what they say. Is they're like, can we see that video? Because I don't believe you for a second. No one's gonna believe you. And then you send them the link, and they're like, God damn.
And then
his penis tiny.
And then they zoom in and they go,
Aww.
They zoom in and they go, is that a Dominate Defense belt? Head on over to Dominate Defense and use promo code PARA10 and to see if that person is wearing a Mach 1 speed belt or any one of the fine concealed carry belts or the inner belts that are possible for your selection. Best belts in the industry. All the guys are using it. I was watching the Hunter Constantine video. Guess what he's rocking? He's got a Dominate Defense belt on. So check them out. Use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off the item. You can also check out W74 Guide Rods and Room Tactical. Get those +1s. He's working on a VP9 P30 follower. Not that I want, not that I
Or-
would, because I'm going to shoot a PvP, but just in case I might get one or be sent some for prototyping. So,
for
anyways, you guys,
science.
you can do all that stuff. Plus up the weight, get some tungsten batteries, get a tungsten guide rod or your springs needs over at W74, and then check out all the fine products over at Rune Tactical, especially to get one more bullet in that blaster. Use promo code PARA10 at all those. Waypoint Training, you can look them up on Instagram. When Jared wants to train, he'll post. You can jump, but you can also hop in and get them shirts. So check that out. You can do that.
Yeah.
I watched 20 minutes of an hour-long Halo, what was it? Halo lore video.
Yeah.
It got pretty.
Dugga-dugga.
Da, da, da,
Dugga-dugga.
da, 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 da. And no weapon will ever beat the pistol from Halo 1 CE. Nothing.
Mm.
If that's the gun, we need to have somebody like, screw all you guys, bring them back the Hudson H9. Bring the 50 Action Express 2 power scoped 12 shot
What?
Halo pistol.
No.
That shit's
No.
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 Robert,
No,
Robert,
Thomas. No.
I-
The thing that needs to be there is the Magpul waffle maker.
Ooh.
Just saying. That needs to be there. They said they were
listen,
going to do it. I want the waffle maker.
When you have to shoot 8-foot tall things that weigh 600 pounds, have shields on them, and use plasma rifles, you're gonna want fucking 50 Action Express. That's the way to do it.
If I have a
It's
waffle maker,
actually-
I would give them some food, and then we'd sit down and both be happy.
Oh, whatever.
I just looked it up. It is not a 50 Action Express.
It's a 50.
It utilizes a 12.7 by 40 millimeter rounds, which is close to the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum.
Yeah, 12.7. That's
no
50,
wonder.
If that's a 50 caliber, look up the metric for what's the metric conversion for 50 Action Express.
I don't know, but no wonder that one shot's elites. You're doing it 500 Smith & Wesson. Steve Koski's just walking around shooting grunts in the head, and they're exploding for a reason.
Let's see.
Hot damn.
What was it?
The M6D pistol is what it's called. For you nerds out there.
AE metric.
That's beautiful.
That's a lot of millimeters.
Anyway, while we're working on useless information, Robert is going to head on over to Telegram, and you should head over to Telegram too. And you can ask us a question and join the little chat and have fun. 12.7 Action Express is 12.7 by 33 millimeters. So this thing is that thing is hot as hell. That's a spicy meatball.
That's impressive.
If it can one shot a grizzly bear, it can take out a Sangheili.
It can, the Sangheili, that split jawed mother effer, that's gonna blow the back of his head out. That's 12 shots of that kind of power.
What's the new game that just came out?
Helldivers.
Helldivers 2.
It's not out for the Xbox yet, but everybody's trying to get it ported over, something like that.
Yeah, Helldivers. Tom, you want to play after this?
That
Hell
game
yeah,
looks
baby.
really cool.
Let's freaking fight them, fight aliens,
for
fight
democracy.
For democracy, for Super Earth. Let's do it.
Wait,
have some liberty.
Wait, Helldivers for democracy? Did they have oil?
Yeah, it's pretty much if you're familiar with Starship Troopers and the kind of principle between Starship Troopers and the way that their government works, it's pretty much the same thing. But it's like, yeah, for democracy, we got to fight them over there, so we don't have to fight them over here, kind of stuff. And it's just like, yep, it's exactly what it sounds like.
It is
what
hilarious.
Is managed democracy? You're fighting for managed democracy.
Yeah. Damn it! Now I really want to get that game ported over to Xbox.
I'll send you over a link to the trailer, and it's hilarious because it's this nice like space family in a space town, and they're like, "Oh, happy," and then an alien jumps down and just rips a child and a lady in half, and the male starts screaming. Then it pauses to a steel frame, and the guy sticks his head around the corner. Has this ever happened to you? Help us.
Damn it! That makes me want to play it even more.
It is. You watch it, and it's like Pfizer level of propaganda as an opening video, and then you're just like, I'm gonna join these teams, and I'm gonna fight, and I'm gonna drop orbital strikes, and I'm gonna blow up things, and it's crazy. I was watching a guy play it the other night, and he was talking about the worst thing to fight is like the cyber races tanks,
automatons.
Holy
shit, they're
tanks.
rough.
It's like a Terminator race, and then all of a sudden you run into the tanks. He goes, I could barely capture any footage of this thing because I couldn't get close enough to do anything to it. And it's just, you watch these giant bugs and you're calling in orbital strike. It literally, like, if they put an ODST skin, a Halo ODST skin on that and kind of like
Yeah.
glossed it up a bit, it would that would get me back into Halo. But it's just corny enough that you realize, like, oh, I'm a disposable meat bag for a government to go fight on alien worlds for an agenda. And then it's so much damn fun. And then you're just like, it's all propaganda. You're wearing capes. It's very I would say
Tongue in
it is
cheek.
it's very tongue in cheek. It's very tongue in cheek. And then it's just like you're low key the bad guys. Like, you're low key the bad guys in the entire thing. You're just invading
Yeah,
worlds, blowing up stuff. It's fun.
but we're
Hey,
just
if they
shooting
didn't want to get
giant
invaded, maybe they shouldn't have
aliens.
oil. That's the
Yeah.
way I look at America's foreign policy.
If you think I'm going to invade this country for oil, you're goddamn right.
Yeah.
Hey, remember,
Let's
we
see.
stopped invading. We stopped invading for oil for a few years. How are them food prices? You like them food prices? You like that price at the pump? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Super Earth, baby.
Yeah, huh? Yeah,
Straight up.
exactly. It's funny, like all these these podcasts are really excited because they hit 100 episodes or 10 episodes. From Alex Mansfield, we here at Manny Talk Shooting are about to hit 150 mark, which is almost 2 years straight without missing an upload. Well, if you can go long as Tommy without missing an upload, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Really though,
We've missed
for all who
we've
listen
missed
to the
a few.
Manny Talk Shooting,
Keep going.
yeah, really though, for all who listened to the Manny Talk episode with Officer Jared Stepp, what did you think?
Oh, Lord.
Well,
I listened.
I couldn't roll the windows up anymore when Jared was talking. I remember that part. I was just like, oh no, I should roll the. Oh no, they're already at maximum up. Let me just put that in the headphone. You put it
You're
in your
listening to me
pocket.
talk and you do the look around.
Yeah.
That's like white people, like when
I
they
hope
say,
my
"Hey, do you want
bishop
to hear
doesn't
you
hear
want to
this.
you want to hear a racist joke?" And they just like look around behind them.
They're gonna pull a search warrant on Mansfield's house, and they're gonna go, oh, we know he's hiding something, Judge. Listen to this episode.
Listen to
And then the
this
judge can go
episode.
like, he's got something in there. He's got boys, get in there, protect Super Earth.
It was good. It was a great episode. It was I guess Alex is like, "Oh yeah, you can swear," and Jared's like,
All right.
"Challenge accepted."
He didn't. He said I could. He said I could. So I said,
They-
yes, I will.
They,
And you know what? That worked so famously at the Nuremberg trials.
It
and
that was swearing not in English, though. That's not American. That's not
Oh.
for freedom.
he
Oh,
said,
okay.
do you pay per swear?
Manny
Not
didn't have oil, so he's probably okay.
Yet.
Yet. From Grandpa Went, what is your preferred 32 caliber defensive loading? From Sean Edmonds, how do we get Leighton to resign?
Slingshot probably has a 32 caliber. How do we get Leighton to resign? Good luck, dude. He's locked in. I mean, he won't run again, but he's what would you say? You can't start him stopping. He won't start stopping. He's never going to stop. He's going to go till he's literally pushed out, voted out, or do anything else. Because he's constantly running into it. Like, the years of him just pushing everybody around are over, and now he's running into brick wall after brick wall after brick wall. And
Right.
where's the change?
Yeah. You know what? Let him burn out his term. I think by and large, it seems like the organization is making. I think they're making good moves.
Yeah, they've turned the corner. The corner has been turned.
I don't. You'll see tomorrow. They're going to have a board meeting, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. I suspect they're not going to get Scott back. Although, interesting enough, Ben Barry actually talked about this on his show. In Area 3, there were two people running, Luke Faust and Andy Erickson. And apparently Luke Faust confirmed that there was only two people running. And because of that, he said, I'm dropping out. And because of the way the bylaws go or whatever, that means that Andy Erickson is now he should now be the area director. So assuming that Arnberg doesn't come back, basically Area 3 is going to finally have representation again, which they kind of need it. It's kind of not cool to be making crap up without all of the areas being represented.
For democracy.
Yeah. And so, I
Layton's
mean,
managed democracy.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It does feel like things are starting to go in the right direction. The thing that is really weird that actually came out this weekend, I don't know how much people actually paid much attention to it, was that USPSA went and relocated its corporate headquarters, whatever, from Washington to Alabama.
Mexico.
Alabama, Mexico, potato, tomato. I mean, same thing.
They're outsourcing.
Yeah. And that's coincidentally enough where Alabama Jim lawyer guy dude
has a license. Yeah. I was no, I wasn't practicing out of my state. I was just merely helping them in the transition to a place where I can represent them and I can do that. You know, fine. You know what, USPSA, thank you for just getting legal. Like I don't care if House Corelli did it. Thank you for getting legal.
Here's the thing that's really weird to me, and maybe you guys can explain it because I don't actually get it. But USPSA's had two big things that have come up, where one was the hit factor trademark deal, and now there's this other one, which is the moving from USPS or from Washington to Alabama. But in both of those, the board of directors apparently don't know anything about it. And so if that's the case, who's actually running the ship? You know,
Illuminati.
I mean, are the employee is like Donna back there and she's just making all these decisions on her own without
the board doesn't know, and the president, well, most of the board doesn't know, and the president doesn't know.
That's a problem. That seems to me a big problem, right?
Maybe people need to get fired.
Yeah, one thing that I have seen with volunteer organizations in the past with my dealings with another volunteer organization that was a piece of shit is...
Listen, they just wanted lots of the money and they didn't want to put any effort into it. Just relax.
But
it's called the government.
Dude, don't even tell us.
There's a lot of people that don't even know that a lot of the board doesn't know what's going on. There's some random full-time people who, whether it's a secretary or whether it's the treasurer or whether it's whatever, the executive director, but they're not on the board. And those couple people, they're the only ones who are actually running the show. The board is literally there just to have a poster on the wall and to say for liberty. Like that's literally it. And so that was my experience with this particular organization, and the reason why that was because their organization was where basically people would rotate in every single year. And so because of that, one, it wasn't really an effective model.
The administrators run the ship then.
Yeah, and so the board was kind of just figureheads, and they'd have ideas, and then the executive director or the treasurer or one of the actual people who are there always, they were the ones who were actually running the organization. So I don't know if that's a similar situation with USPSA, but there is an inherent problem, I think, with these volunteer boards, because what ended up happening with my organization was the volunteer board basically kind of just got pushed around for years, and you had these other people in the background who actually did everything. And when the people in the background doing everything was fantastic, it was great. It wasn't ever a problem. But what ended up happening was one year, the board found out about this and they said, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're running the show. And then they fired all of the behind the scenes people, and then everything burned to the ground because no one knew what they were doing. So I don't really know if that's going to be the case with other volunteer organizations that have certain paid employees and then the majority not. But I just don't think it's a very effective model. And it doesn't, there's no reason for these people who are putting themselves up on basically spikes for the general populace to throw rocks at where it's like, dude, I didn't even do anything. Like I had nothing to do with this shenanigans against practice score or the shenanigans against this. Like I don't even know what you're talking about. And it's a terrible position to be in, because while some of them sure might be the devil and some of them might not, and some of them might just be there actually genuinely trying to help, but they're in a bad organization. It's being run in a poor way, and that might be the case here. I don't know, but it does not bode well, in my opinion, if things are happening and the people who are quote unquote running the place have no idea about any of those things.
Yep.
That's not cash money.
I mean, like private ownership.
That's
Private ownership of a business where a person has a vested interest in making the business or making the sport better or doing whatever and has unilateral control, as long as that person is great, things can really go, especially in like a shooting sport, because um,
Right.
you saw how well IDPA took off at the beginning of it, where basically had a board, but it had direct ownership, and that direct ownership basically got to pick the path forward, and it became hyper successful really quick. And Leah Grandis is kind of
but
doing
then
that
to be
too.
fair, I mean the opposite of that was that same singularity at the top
Singularity,
destroyed
yep,
it.
correct, very much correct,
Well,
right?
that's
So there's
the problem with those one-man ships.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, it's just weird. It's like, I mean, like even in like the federal government, I mean, there's that big thing right now going on with Chevron deference, where you have all the regulatory agencies like the ATF that are basically making shit up left, right, and center, and the Congress is like, we didn't make a law for that,
Mhm.
and it. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening in USPSA, but it's like there's like these things that are sitting there, like it feels like what you're
because
saying, Jared. Like there's these people that are doing all this stuff,
Mm.
and the board is like, it's our job to like we're supposed to have the fiduciary interest of the organization, but this stuff's happening in the background, and we're now hearing about this thing through PSI, through Derek.
through Instagram,
Why is that?
what we have moved the organization. Where was the vote? Oh, there wasn't a vote. We just this is just what's
It
Well,
happening.
wasn't a vote,
Okay,
you know,
great.
somebody just did
and
it
and
weird.
again, if
So
this is
weird.
anything like that other organization that I was associated with, a lot of it is just the figureheads were literally just random old dudes who wanted to have
Have
that
their
on their
resume or
resume,
something. Oh.
and they didn't do anything. They were just there and being like, "Hi guys, I'm here to get my sandwich and my Dr. Pepper and iced tea." And they were just there to have the free lunch and say hello, and oh, let's start off our meeting with a prayer, and stuff like that. But it's like the actual actions of the board, the actual organization was being run by one or two people behind the scenes, and no one even knew who they were. Like
Right.
literally nobody knew who the executive director was. It was just
Well,
some guy, and he was running everything.
it's just like any organization that has departments underneath that are funded by like a certain set of people. Justify your department under all circumstances. Like you have to justify that you're there. And if you're just running the ship, or literally like it's like not training your subordinates or letting your superiors know actually how things work. And so you're now their lack of effort and interest in figuring out how things work only makes you more valuable, so that you're like, listen, God, she's a bitch. She's a bitch. But if we get rid of her, we don't know how to run any of this. And
Right.
so, and she might do
We don't
2
even
hours of
have the
work.
password to the
We don't have
computer.
we don't have the password. We don't know where the money's held. We have
That's
no
probably
idea.
what happened this week when AT&T and all the cell phone companies would like they lost signal for 4 or 5 whatever hours. They probably fired some dude like 3 years ago who had the passwords, and then everything just reset. And it's like, oh shit.
He's like, oh well, like
Right.
look at this. I just flipped 3 of these switches and then typed this in,
I am a
and
god.
no one's gonna figure it out.
I
Have
think
fun.
I think in the end, it's like the geofencing thing you're talking about, Jared. It's like, I mean, as an average citizen, I want to know that if a bad guy does something, there are tools that the cops can use to
Right.
solve that. And when everything's running effectively, you're like, awesome.
Right.
This is
And
great.
when it's being used correctly, that's why we don't have serial killers anymore. We don't have serial killers anymore because we catch them. Like
Yeah.
they don't have the opportunity to kill many white women because the news gets mad, and it's the white woman effect. That's actually a real thing. The white woman effect is actually a documented real thing where this Instagram lady, this white lady, she got murdered in this sad way. Oh Lord Jesus, get the bad guy. And that's a real thing. But that's why these things don't happen anymore, is because we have all these new tools. And when the tools are being used correctly and legally and safely and goodly and all those great things, it's a wonderful, happy time.
100%.
But then when some jackass does some weird shit, then all of a sudden, not so happy.
Are you saying that when we lose a moral compass in our lives and use tools and whatever information we have, life becomes hell for people? What was that guy's name? It started with a J. He was like 2,000 years ago. He wrote a book. What was that?
Robert
Jesus?
knows him.
Something like that. Goodness gracious, people! Like, get on the bus. Any more questions?
Yeah, just a couple here. From Corbin Cook. What are you guys' thoughts on running more PCSL 1 and 2 gun matches at Big Salty and Kaysville? Is there enough interest in that format? We already at Big Salty, we already run a PCSL match, and it's mildly attended. If you're thinking,
I think
about
it's the cost of rifle ammo that might be knocking that down. I think if it was a pistol only, it might.
I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. PCSL is great, but we routinely sell out both of our USPSA matches
in a matter of hours.
For you to for Slipset to effectively change, you would have to demonstrate why PCSL is going to return so much greater value than what we're already getting.
Do they charge money per person?
What do you mean? Well, yeah, everybody pays to get in the match.
No, I mean, like, USPSA makes you pay what, $3, $4, $5 per person to send in their classifier score or whatever. Well, does PCSL
not
do
yet?
That?
Not yet, but eventually they will.
Mm.
I mean, it's the loss leader in the grocery store, right? Hey, buy the toilet paper on the end cap. It's, you'll get a super savings. But once we got you in the door and we have you stuck and everybody wants it, well, now we're going to charge you for it. Eventually it will happen, and that's fine. That's not an issue in the world. Eventually it's going to happen.
You know how you really make the loss leader at Costco or the loss leader at a Walmart? You go get the chicken from the deli, you put it in your cart, and then in the Walmart you use the bathroom that's in the back by customer service, and you put the chicken on your shirt, and then you sit on the toilet and you eat the chicken, and then you put the chicken, whatever you're not going to eat, like not a dark meat or white meat fan, you put that in the trash, or hell, put it in the urinal. Make some poor person clean that shit out. That's a lost leader, my friend. That's a big lost leader.
Wow. That is spoken like a.
And you know what I do?
Spoken like a guy who is paying a lot in alimony.
I switch my jacket to the reversible side color. I put a hat on and I leave my cell phone in the car. So they're like, "Who committed this heinous act?" And I'm just like, "Not me, not geofence. No, officer. I was sitting in my car. I wouldn't do such a thing as I literally have chicken grease dripping from my face. I wouldn't do such a thing. Get out of here. Here's a Bible. Read this Bible, officer, before you accuse the innocent."
That's
as I lie straight to his face.
More unhinged than the picture I shared of my sister who ate that corn on the cob like an absolute crazy person.
Listen.
That's it. Put her on a train car, send her to a camp.
It's been a bad week for me. And it seems like it's been a bad life for your sister, because I would hit her.
So
I'm not saying I'm not even for hitting women. I would hit her.
Just so you guys know, this corn on the cob, it was eaten in a manner. You know how normally people, you just kind of square it off and bite off chunk. Then you go down one line, chunk.
Eat a row. Typewriter. You got typewriter.
Man.
Yeah, you go through and you typewriter it. This corn on the cob was just beaten in random spots
Pictures
all
on YouTube
over the place. And it's just absolutely, like, when I saw her and I'm like, "Are you done with that?" It's like she turned it into like some weird Swiss cheese, just different holes in different places. And I looked at her, I'm like, "I should kill you for this abomination."
Well, the one thing is that you just said serial killers, we don't have them anymore.
Yeah. Right there. That's proof.
But maybe we need a strong comeback.
This is a Minority Report test. You just said like 100 people. You set 100 people into a room and you all hand them corn on the cob, and the people who eat it like that, you just go like, nope, we know who you are. To
We
prison
will
with
share a
you.
photo of this corn in the Telegram. Maybe. I don't know if Tom and Robert are about that. But
Yeah,
I
we're
think
totally sharing that.
I
We're all
think
right.
this is a sin against any god that you believe in.
All right. Question from Area 3 Director Andy Erickson. What would be the best way to differentiate carry optics from limited optics in the rules without an equipment change?
Seasons. This is my divide all the divisions into seasons in which major matches are allowed to use those. Let locals run them as much as they want. But I think seasons, it would, even if we just tried it for a year, I think it would be with like level 2 matches. I think it would be pretty fun. I think it would differentiate things enough that like you're not putting a magwell on your blaster for a week or whatever. You just go like, it's carry optic season. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to do this. Or the other thing, without an equipment or rules change, what would you do? And I think that doesn't. There's not a whole lot there. That's what actually literally separates them. But I think if you could allow major in limited optics, that would be a big
Major
change.
major
Isn't
and
that
limited
called open?
optics definitely would change it, but that's
Oh,
the problem. Then it becomes too close to open. But at the same time, it's also like, I don't know. I think I used to be of the opinion that bumping carry optics down to 15 per mag would be a good way of differentiating, but now production's gone up to 15 per mag, so I don't know if that would be a good idea, because then, I mean, but
I
then you
think
would just
I
have
think
the
15 round
original
carry optics would be
design, which
great.
is carry optics is production with optics.
Yep.
So
I,
that
I
could be
think
an
that would be
option.
pretty good. I think, or if we're really going to
Is
get
a
into,
20?
if we're
I
really
was
going to
gonna.
get
My
into the
question
weed,
to you
we
guys
make.
is, sorry,
Go
Tommy.
ahead.
I know
Go ahead.
you go ahead, Tom.
I just had a joke. I was like, well, maybe we should just make limited optics 12.7 by 40 millimeter. One shot per
Yes.
target, 2 power scope, and
You get
we'll
2 grenades.
2 grenades. Listen, we will of each type, and we will literally pay for the hand surgeon. You pay $50 per match, and we all stack that up because everyone's hands are going to go away probably within a year.
All right. Here's a question for you guys, and just like straight up, today, as good as these pistols are, whether it's the Striker Fire Canex or the 2011 pistols, um, is the 2011 so much better that anybody shooting an M&P or a Canik or whatever is going to be at a fundamental disadvantage? Do you think?
Not in the world of the aftermarket weights that can be put into a gun, not with the accuracy that a lot of the major manufacturers are out of the squeeze out of the gun, and not with the aftermarket trigger world for most of the polymer frame handguns. A Timney trigger in an M&P with some sort of flashlight with a weight on it or something. Like the M&P is a kind of a bad example because it's very hard to get weight into the frame of an M&P, but you take something like the PDP and the VP9, you go to Taylor Freelance, you can get weight in the guns. They're hyper accurate. You buy an aftermarket trigger kit, and then ta-da, you have something that has a 2-pound trigger and you can split like a mother, and it weighs similar to an aluminum frame 2011. I think if you definitely go like all steel in the 2011s and stuff like that, there's definitely an advantage there. But until you go into like the 45-ounce range that a polymer handgun can't get to, you're going to have some little drawbacks there that the polymer frame might have some advantages to, but there's essentially no difference.
Jared?
From a practical standpoint, I do not think there is a difference between thick, fat, heavy guns and light, snappy little guns. From a practical standpoint, I have been able to shoot drills with my Glock 17 duty gun that I cannot do with my tricked out Warwick 2011 limited optics gun. It's weird, but there are certain things I can do with that gun that I can't do with my Glock. Like, for instance, flexing on the pores. And that's a very important aspect of this game. Now, also coming from a person that just spent $3,500 on a custom 2011, there better fucking be an advantage.
Yeah, right.
I were to find it.
My contention, and I could be wrong on this, but I think the I think the days of a massive difference between a 2011 and a Glock, a striker fired Glock, are gone. I think that these guns, as far as the aftermarket, and I mean, just starting just from OEM, I think even the OEM guns are so dang good out of the box. Once you put the aftermarket into them, I don't see a fundamental difference the between a 2011 and a carry optic gun of any sort to actually necessitate having two different divisions, because limited optics is functionally the 2011 division, but
I mean, yeah, you could
it
essentially
just
just
it just
strip the
doesn't
mag
there's
wells
no
up.
value in it to me, where these are just so different. And I mean, like, put a magwell on it, don't put a magwell on. Okay, well, we have one reload. This Shadow 2 has the biggest freaking opening. I mean, if you can't get a
Well,
magazine in there, then so
I
be it. I don't know. I don't see that. I just don't see a difference that's so great as to make them different divisions. I think they should just be the same division.
Well, and
so
here's
one
the other.
thing
Go ahead.
Jared.
so one thing I do think that the organization might have done, and I could be 100% wrong on this, but for me, it looked like Carry Optics was becoming the big bad division where it was literally taking over every single division. Like at Slipsa, we would have what, like 100 Carry Optics shooters, and then like 5 or 10 in every other division. And I think part of the reason for limited optics is to break that 100-person division up just a little bit. And so instead of having 100 people in carry optics, maybe they could break that up and do 50 and 50. And yeah, do I agree with you that I don't really think there's that big of a difference between the two divisions? Absolutely. Do I think there's a big difference between Glocks and 2011s and staccatos or whatever? No. I mean, in theory, the 2011 is a better race starting platform. In theory, it will be able to be tuned to shoot better. Yes, I can shoot 11, 10. I've even done 9 splits before with my 2011s and with an open 2011. Can I do that with any sort of tricked out striker fire platform? Probably not. But that's just circus tricks. That's not really actually something you can use in a match. In an actual match, I've done comparisons between a tricked out Combat Master Glock and a tricked out 2011, and honestly, they're about the same. So
Well, that's
realistically, I don't think there's a big difference, but I also think there might be some of a organizational plan here just to break up carry optics a little bit, because it was becoming such a massive division, and I don't think they like that. I don't think they want just one giant division to rule them all. I think they want people playing in different divisions, so they created another division that essentially was carry optics, but you could get all the bougie little boys to go over and
yeah.
play in that yard.
And you could split
I
the
still think
majors.
the 2011 limited optics was a direct nod to the manufacturers.
Yep.
Also,
Yep. And like, if having everyone in the same division does not make a match run longer, because it's the same division, it's the same amount of shooters no matter what. Having those divisions split up in between majors, like at nationals, maybe it helps with nationals a little bit. But honestly, the single action design should literally just come into carry optics, and we should remove limited optics, take the magazines off, and just bring that stuff over to limited optics. Because if you look at the carry optics guns we have now from all the hammer fired manufacturers, how many of the competitive ones come with a decocker? None. You have
Yeah.
SIG with their X5, single action only manual safety, the CZ Shadow 2, double action gun, no decocker, but might actually be probably a little bit safer with the wide safety and having the hammer back, the Beretta 92 performance. Same thing, no decocker now on the gun, just the hammer and the manual safety. So I think
mhm,
I think if we just
that's a good
literally
point.
if we literally just went back and said Single actions are now allowed in carry optics. Strip the mag wells off these bad boys, bring them open, and now we aren't dealing with a lot of. Honestly, no one should be decocking a gun with their thumb on the back of the hammer in the year 2024. This is not Red Dead Redemption 2. We've come a long way. Your John Marston ass should either have a decocker if you're going to shoot that bad boy double action, or you should just run it like a manual safety cocked and locked. So
I mean,
I think it should go away.
Shooting those two guys is what was it, 2 weeks ago? Their Shadow 2s that they had converted to SAO. There's functionally no difference. I mean, it's one trigger pull. But Ben Steger put out a really good video talking about the DASA, and he said, the double action is as hard as you want it to be. There's the argument of does the lowering the hammer and the safety of the hammer. You could say that there's a safety issue as far as lowering the hammer, but I've seen people thumb the safety off of a 1911 just as fast before that thing's barely clearing the trigger guard. And so, I mean, the safety argument to me, it kind of rings hollow, because what we're doing is inherently an unsafe action anyway. We're just mitigating those levels of safety. So I'm not completely sold on your idea. I just don't see a world in which the differences between the 20 and 11 and the carry optics is even valid anymore. The only thing that I could say, if I'm thinking about it, is in the past, the whole reason that you had production came up when IDPA went off and did its thing was because there was a perception that if you wanted to get into USPSA IPSC, you had to go and buy this really kitted out 2011 or single stack and spend gobs of money to get into it. Mm-hmm. And carry optics, for what it is, people still think, they go to the store and you say, well, I have a dot on my gun, so I have a carry optic gun. And you're like, yep, that's pretty much it. You're good to go. And that perception exists. And you'll have people that'll come and they'll have little mag wells on to the new shooters, right? They'll have mag wells on them, or some of these new really cool SIGs with the porting or the compensators on them. And you can have that conversation with them. But people are showing up with these guns and saying, this is a carry optic gun because I bought it. It has a dot on it and I bought it from the store. Mm-hmm. You can't say that about a 2011 necessarily, although anymore you see people showing up with these massively kitted out staccatos as a new shooter, and you're like, what the hell, bro?
Yep.
So combine them. Just combine them.
Absolutely.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's it for us too. We're telling you to be quiet now. Be quiet now, because we're done with the show. So thank you for downloading. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for doing everything that you guys do for us. Thanks to all the people on the Patreon. We really appreciate you guys' support. We don't thank you guys enough or mention it very often, but there's a Patreon. You get 8 or 9 minutes before the show of us talking mad amounts of crap about people that won't pay the Patreon, so they'll never find out. That's how we roll.
Screw those guys.
Screw you guys. That's right. That's where we name names. Name, show pictures, and stay out of the geofence. So for Robert Wyatt, Jared Stepp, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart to the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Doot doot.